Training camp is getting underway in just about a week, but on today's show, we are going to talk about 5 blockbuster trade targets that could happen before the season gets underway on September 8th against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am Nic Rohoff. This is Dolphins Today. Before we get into it, though, make sure you're following me and us on social media. I'm approaching 1,200 followers on Twitter. Give me a follow there. But I want to focus in on our Instagram. We're almost at 300 followers on Dolphins Today IG. We post content over there in between our episodes. So if you want more around the Miami Dolphins, our Instagram is the best place to do it. Short form content, highlights, photos, we have it all. Go give us a follow. The links for both of these handles are in the description. First blockbuster trade target is Preston Smith, the edge rusher of the Green Bay Packers. This one's a little interesting because Smith has 3 years left on his contract, but the way it's been kind of constructed is a little bit odd. In 2024, he carries a $3.2 million base salary, which trades in the NFL can be complicated in terms of how much salary the new team trading is paying, how much the old team is paying. But one thing is certain, you'd have to pay his base salary. And $3.2 million isn't that bad, considering at least right now you have $16 million in cap space. Preston Smith has been one of the most dynamic pass rushers in the NFL, and he's been terrific for the Packers, putting up 9, 8.5, 8 sacks over the past 3 seasons. He's been great. So you might be asking yourself, why would Green Bay trade him, and why would the Dolphins be able to acquire him? Well, I'll answer both these questions. And the real first question that we have to answer, though, is are the Dolphins even going to be looking to add another edge? Because their group is very, very good, and I've called it top 3, top 5 in the NFL, and I'll stand by that. Jaelan Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Shaq Barrett, those are your headliners, but then you also brought in 2 rookies with the first-round pick Chop Robinson and the 5th-rounder Mo Kamara, who I'm very high on. Now, the question to that question is, will they all be healthy? Bradley Chubb returning from a knee injury. Jaelan Phillips returning from an Achilles injury. Like, if those 2 are not fully ready to go prior to the season, I could see the Dolphins making a trade to acquire an edge rusher that would just allow them to ease back into the year, and even when they return, still give you a loaded group that you can just rotate in and out, keep legs fresh, risk of injury goes down, and just create an even more dynamic pass rush. Preston Smith would be a very fun addition, and he would be excellent. The Packers, maybe they deal him after they drafted Lukas Van Ness a year ago. Rashan Gary got paid. There is a pathway to where Preston Smith might get a little pushed down. But the question is on the Dolphins side of things. Do the Dolphins actually need to add an edge to this roster? You heard the pitch on if they could add one based on injury history. Type Y for yes or type N for no. If you're typing Y, here's another option for the Dolphins to go acquire an edge. Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher of the New York Giants, and his contract is very, very cheap as he is entering the final year of his initial rookie contract. And Ojulari has had some pretty good moments throughout his career. He's been here for 3 seasons, and he came onto this scene as a rookie with 8 sacks. He's kind of declined over the past 2 seasons due to injuries and not being able to stay on the field. But in his career so far, he has been pretty solid. I mean, 35 games played, 80 tackles basically, 16 sacks. Like, the numbers in terms of games played to his stats are very, very good. The only issue is that he has not been able to stay on the field. And to me, to round out this conversation on trading for an edge rusher, adding an edge rusher, because a lot of other publications, whether it be ESPN, Pro Football Network, Pro Football Focus, like a lot of these publications are saying that the one move Miami should make outside of extending your own guys is adding another edge because of the injuries to Phillips and Chubb. It just depends on how you feel, man. And if you end the preseason in late August and feel that, well, we need to add another group because in the 2 weeks between preseason game number 3 and week 1 against the Jaguars, we don't think Chubb and Phillips are going to be ready and both of them might miss. Maybe you do go out and trade for one because you need another guy because Chop Robinson, Mo Kamara, and Shaq Barrett, like they're probably not going to get after the pass rusher considering you have 2 rookies and a old veteran that is on a 1-year deal. So it's possible they go out and trade for one. I'd expect it to be more on the Azeez Ojulari side of things rather than Preston Smith due to contract and low trade value. Ben Cleveland, the offensive guard for the Baltimore Ravens, could be an intriguing name that the Finns go after because, well, he has never really gotten the playing time that he has probably deserved in Baltimore. Like, he's only played in 621 snaps over his career, and his PFF numbers are okay. 63.8 overall, 69 pass block, 61 run block. He's only allowed 1 sack and 3 penalties, but over his 3-year career, he's just never been able to really take a stranglehold on the starting offensive guard spot in Baltimore. Now is his opportunity, but if he doesn't win the job for the Ravens and gets beat out, there is a realistic situation where Baltimore is just like, well, maybe we've given Ben Cleveland all the time in the world to figure it out. He simply hasn't. Let's try to cut bait, trade him for a 6th or 7th. And a team like Miami, who looks at their roster, looks at their right guard battle, says, yeah, we don't really like how it's looking with Jack Driscoll, Robert Jones and company. Maybe we take a guy from the exterior, trade for Ben Cleveland, and give him a chance to be your starting right guard. That is a realistic possibility for the Miami Dolphins. And I'll say this, whether it be a signing, whether it be a trade, whether it be an extension, doesn't matter what it is. If the Dolphins make a roster move, we will make a video. So hit that sub button and join us here at Dolphins Today. Another offensive lineman that could be intriguing, John Feliciano, the offensive lineman from San Francisco. This is someone who is extremely experienced and has been around the NFL quite a bit. He's been on the New York Giants. He's been on the San Francisco 49ers. He actually had an extremely good 2023 season in limited snaps. Only played 478 snaps, so he was really just a relief pitcher coming in for injuries or spot starts alongside that offensive line. But he did play the right guard spot, and he did it extremely well. Limited snaps, as I said, but 81 overall grade, 87 run block, 66.5 pass block, 0 sacks allowed, and only 2 penalties. Like, to me, he is an extremely good option if you are looking to add a right guard to this roster via trade. The same could be said for Cleveland and Feliciano. They both could be the starting right guard or left guard for their respective teams in 2024. But if they lose that battle, Miami should be on the phone. If they are going to be relegated to being the backup offensive guard, I know both Cleveland and Feliciano are going to be wanting to be starters this upcoming season. And if Miami, for the last time on today's video, doesn't feel comfortable about that right guard spot, maybe they pick up the phone and try to swing a trade to get an offensive lineman. Last trade target we'll talk about on today's show is Diontae Lenor, the cornerback from the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers have made a lot of additions to their secondary, and Lenor, who has been a mainstay for them over the past couple seasons, could actually be beat out at that nickel spot. Lenor was on the team that made the Super Bowl, and he's been a key contributor for them. But there's a legit chance he gets beat out because the 49ers have made a lot of additions to that secondary, specifically with the nickel. They got this guy named Odom, I believe, who is really coming on the form that 49ers beat reporters have raved about. So there is a chance he gets benched, and maybe Miami wants to pick him up to give themselves some depth at corner. Because are we really that confident in Kader Kohou? I think he'll have a bounce-back season, but Miami may feel differently. Like, will he? And do you trust the depth you have now? Because your backup nickel corner to Kader Kohou is Saran Neal. I don't even know if Neal's going to make the roster when we get to the 53-man official roster in late August. Like, Kohou did not have a good 2023. Struggled in coverage. The grades showed it. The numbers showed it. Only having 2 PBUs, no takeaways, allowed a completion percentage, according to PFF, of 82.7% and allowed 7 touchdowns. 2023 was a disaster for Kader Kohou after flashing out of the scene in 2022 as a UDFA. I do believe that he is going to have a better 24. Maybe it's my optimistic view, and maybe it's just hopefulness. But I think he'll bounce back. But upgrading at nickel could be a serious option for the Miami Dolphins. I would still classify other needs on this team a little bit higher, but there is no denying nickel cornerback could be one Chris Grier has his eyes on as an improvement as he watches this team unfold in training camp in the preseason. That was 5 trade targets Miami could make a move for prior to the season beginning or at the beginning of the year before the trade deadline. I want you to name a Miami Dolphins trade target for me down in the comment section. You can shout out your favorite guy that I named or go in a different direction as well. It's up to you. Before we head out of here on today's show, make sure you are following me on Twitter. At Nic_Rohoff is the handle. Make sure you do it on Instagram too, at Dolphins Today IG. Like I mentioned, content in between each video. We put out a show every single day, but there's also at least 24 hours in between each show. So if you want more Miami Dolphins content from your boy, Twitter and Instagram is the best place to do it. So go give us a follow.